In our daily lives, we often encounter problems and challenges. There are times where we have some problems that keep coming back no matter what we did. These recurring problems, they are usually the symptoms or the contributing factors of the problem. To avoid this problem from recurring, we must dig deeper and try to find the underlying root cause of the problem. So today, we are going to explore a simple but powerful problem-solving technique known as the 5 whys. The origins of the 5 whys can be traced back to the 1930s when the founder of Toyota, Mr. Sakichi Toyoda, introduced this technique to his production process. The idea was to ask a series of why questions to identify the root cause of a problem and implement effective countermeasures. Over time, the 5 whys has been adopted by various industries as a valuable tool in identifying the root causes of problems and finding sustainable solutions. So, what is 5 whys? As the name suggests, 5 whys is an interrogative technique used to analyze the root cause of a problem by asking why 5 times. Simple, right? So by asking a series of why questions, we can peel away the layers of symptoms and get to the heart of the problem. It is similar with the famous Malay folklore song Bangau O Bangau, where the bangau, or in English, the stork, is so skinny. So this is the identified problem. After asking why several times, we found out that the root cause of this skinny stork is the snake. The 5 whys is important because it enables us to go beyond surface level symptoms and address the root causes of problems. It promotes efficiency, prevents recurrence, encourages critical thinking, and facilitates collaboration and communication. By incorporating the 5 whys into problem-solving processes, individuals and organizations can drive meaningful change and achieve sustainable solutions. To begin the process of 5 whys, first we must identify the problem. Try to be clear and specific when making the problem statement. Secondly, search why the problem happened and record it. So this is your why number 1. Next, search why the response in why number 1 happened, and this is your why number 2. At this point, try to analyze that if this why number 2 response were corrected, will the problem recur? If the answer is yes, then it is a symptom, not a root cause. So we need to continue to find why number 3. Record the response for why number 3, and if the answer provided is a symptom or a contributing factor to the problem, keep asking why until the root cause has been identified. It often takes 3 to 5 whys, but it can take more than 5. On a side note, make sure the answers are within our control. If somehow the why is out of our control, take a step back and find the other why. For example, if the why is due to the weather, or human behavior, or the government policy, then it is better to find a different why. Check the finding whether the root cause really addresses the problem identified in the earlier stage. Once the root cause has been identified, formulate the objective or the countermeasure to address the root cause. Now let's look at an example of 5 whys. The identified problem is the high rate of lower limb amputation among diabetic patients that leads to low quality of life. Now, we ask the first why. Why there is a high rate of lower limb amputation among diabetic patients? Because of the diabetic foot ulcers, which is not well controlled by the patients. We move on to the second why. Why does the diabetic foot ulcers cannot be well controlled? Because the poor foot care among diabetic patients. Why number 3? Why the poor foot care among diabetic patients? The response is because the educational level among diabetic patients are low. Now, Let's take a pause and re-evaluate the why. Since the attitude or human behavior is out of our control, let's find a different why. Besides, it is out of the scope of providing an engineering solution. Now let's redo our why number 3. Why is there poor food care among diabetic patients? Because the food area that has developed food ulcer is not properly offloaded. Why is not properly offloaded? Because food ulcer is painless and the patient has no indication when they overpressure the food ulcer area. Why do patients overpressure the food ulcer area? Because many cannot afford diabetic footwear that can assist with proper walking when food ulcer occurs. So this is the root cause of our problem, which is the high rate of lower limb amputation among diabetic patients. The 5 whys is a simple but powerful technique that can help us identify the root cause of a problem. By asking a series of why questions, we can get to the underlying cause of the problem and address it effectively.